The air on the set of Enter the Dragon is thick with a specific kind of arrogance, the arrogance of the young and the athletic. A group of stuntmen, the best in Hong Kong, stands in the shadows of the Golden Harvest studio, watching the man in the center of the frame. Among them is a young Jackie Chan, his body hardened by the brutal discipline of the Peking opera, his mind convinced that he has already seen the limits of human speed. He whispers a joke to the man beside him, a subtle jab at the star who insists on perfection in every minor movement. To the young troupe, Bruce Lee is a philosopher-actor who perhaps spends too much time thinking and not enough time simply doing. They see his small stature and his quiet demeanor as signs of a man who has replaced raw grit with cinematic theory. Jackie believes that in a real exchange, the chaotic energy of the opera would overwhelm the calculated precision of the master. He looks at Bruce and sees a man who takes a movie way too seriously. Bruce Lee stops. He doesn't turn his head, but his shoulders settle into a terrifyingly neutral position. You think this is a play. Bruce's voice cuts through the humidity, calm but heavy as lead. In 10 seconds, I will show you that there is no difference between a play and a grave. The laughter in the shadows dies instantly, replaced by a vacuum of sudden, cold tension. It is a stifling Wednesday afternoon in April 1973. The location is a sprawling, high-walled studio complex in Hong Kong's Kowloon district. The air is a thick soup of humidity, stale tea, and the ozone scent of burning stage lights that hiss like snakes. The floor is a patchwork of concrete and plywood, covered in a fine gray dust that clings to the skin like a second layer of sweat. Outside, the frantic pulse of Hong Kong continues. The roar of buses, the scent of street food, the endless movement of millions. Inside, the world has narrowed down to a few square feet of space and 2 men. Bruce Lee is 32 years old, his body a map of dense, functional cable muscle. He wears a simple pair of dark trousers, his chest bare, shimmering with a thin veil of perspiration that catches the overhead light. He is not a large man, but he occupies the room with the gravity of an apex predator. His movements are not performed. They are emitted like light from a bulb or heat from a fire. Jackie Chan stands before him, 19 years old, representing the peak of traditional stunt work and acrobatic resistance. To Jackie, strength is a display, a loud, visible exertion of the will. The conflict between them is not born of hate, but of a fundamental disagreement on the nature of reality. Jackie believes that acting like you are fighting is enough for the camera. Bruce believes that if you are not being the fight, the camera and the soul will know. Sifu, Jackie says, his voice respectful but edged with a youthful challenge. We are just making a story. Why the wait? Bruce looks at him, his eyes dark and bottomless, devoid of ego or the need to prove a point. A story is a lie, Bruce says softly. I'm interested in what is true even when the story ends. The silence that follows is thick enough to touch, broken only by the hum of a distant cooling fan. Bruce reaches out and picks up a small, heavy ceramic teacup from a nearby prop table. He places it on the palm of his open hand, holding it out toward Jackie. Take it, Bruce commands. Before I close my hand. Jackie smiles. He is one of the fastest reactors in the industry. His entire career is built on his reflexes. He stands less than 2 feet away, his hand already poised like a coiled spring. Jackie reaches. His hand is a blur of tan skin and focused intent. But before his fingers can even brush the ceramic, the cup is gone. Bruce hasn't pulled his hand back. He has simply closed his fingers with a speed that defies the human eye's ability to track frames. The sound is not a grab, but a sharp, dry snap, the sound of air being displaced. Jackie's hand closes on nothing but empty, humid air. He tries again, faster this time, his eyes wide and locked on the cup. Again, the snap. Again, the void. Bruce's expression hasn't changed. His breathing remains rhythmic and deep, his shoulders perfectly loose. The witnesses, the other stuntmen, the camera ops, the directors, stand frozen in a moment of pure, unadulterated shock. They didn't see a move. They saw a transition from one state of being to another, instantaneous and absolute. Jackie looks at his own hand, then at Bruce's closed fist, feeling a sudden, cold wave of psychological vertigo. He realizes that Bruce wasn't trying to be fast. Bruce was simply occupying the moment before Jackie even conceived of it. "You're trying to win a race," Bruce says, his voice a gentle, didactic hum. "But the race is an illusion. You are tense because you're chasing the future." He explains that the seriousness Jackie questioned is actually the removal of the gap between thought and action. "Visual force is just noise," Bruce continues. "It is the sound of a mind that is afraid of being slow." He differentiates between the theatrical strength of the opera and the functional truth of a body in total alignment. When you are tense, you are your own obstacle. You are fighting yourself before you ever fight me. Jackie stands there, the sweat on his brow suddenly cold, his perspective on his own craft shifting violently. He sees that his speed was just a frantic scramble, while Bruce's speed was a calm inevitability. The lesson wasn't about a cup. It was about the fundamental honesty of movement. In that moment, the young stuntman ceased to be a skeptic and became a seeker. He understood that to be truly free in movement, one must first be absolutely disciplined in intent. This brief interaction did not end when the director called for the next shot. Over the coming years, Jackie Chan would carry the ghost of that speed into every role he played. He realized that even in comedy, the impact must be real, the timing must be absolute, and the ego must be absent. He stopped being a performer and began the long journey toward becoming a master of physical rhythm. The DNA of Bruce's seriousness became the backbone of Jackie's legendary career. Bruce Lee did not seek this transformation. He simply lived his truth, and the world adjusted around him. He was a seed of change planted in the heart of an industry built on artifice. He showed that a movie set could be a temple, and a prop could be a mirror into the soul. Decades later, people still talk about the speed of Bruce Lee, but they often miss the point. They talk about the what, but they forget the why. The why was a refusal to live a diluted life, a refusal to give anything less than the total self to the present. Bruce Lee died months after that day, leaving behind a legacy that transcends cinema. But for Jackie Chan, the master never truly left. He remained in the precision of every stunt, in the silence of every pause, and in the relentless pursuit of truth. The world remembers the fighter, but the fighter remembers the lesson. We often judge people by the roles they play, by the stars they're supposed to be. We assume that intensity is a burden, and that lightness is the same as ease. But perhaps the most profound things in life require a seriousness that the world mistakes for gravity. Are you playing a part, or are you living the truth of your own movement? Are you chasing the cup, or are you already the hand that holds it? Few seconds were enough to rewrite the history of action. What are you waiting for to happen in your next few seconds? The master is gone, but the air he moved is still vibrating. Follow Bruce Lee, beyond the fight for more. True power begins before the fight.